man, this thing doesn't want to give up. We'll put a loop together again here the last 2 hours and just show what this thing is doing. And as soon as you think an area is out, like it's been quiet down here for a while, and now this thing is swinging right back through Littleton and coming along Santa Fe here, and it's going to march right back on toward the east now. So the storm has been backing up toward the west, and now it's finally, perhaps this is in the later stages of what this thing's going to do tonight, but it's going to continue to move across the metropolitan area and head on through much of Aurora and move on to the northeast. So no tornado warnings right now, but man, this storm is something else. It does not want to give up at all.
Certainly isn't. Luckily, the tornado warning only lasted a brief period of time before that kind of rotation of it weakened out. A couple of folks were worried. They heard the sirens going off. They checked our interactive radar or our website or other sources to look for the warning. Well, the sirens don't necessarily coincide exactly to the warning, so the warning could be over and the sirens are still playing out for a certain period of time. So a couple of sirens are still being reported as going off, but there's no tornado warning at this time. A severe thunderstorm warning, though, does continue from downtown Denver over the top of Inglewood to Littleton to Roxborough. You can start to see the thunderstorm starting to move a little bit more here. Zoom into the north side, and then we'll work ourselves down to the south. Out near DIA, they've had a number of flight issues all day long because of the strong thunderstorms, and it looks like more severe weather is trying to drift that direction. Not severe at this time, but certainly some hail is going to be possible out by DIA. So if you have to travel along I-70, that's kind of the northern edge of the thunderstorm. So we pan down to the south, Denver through Inglewood. That's Santa Fe snaking just south out of Denver under the word Inglewood, and Littleton to Highlands Ranch. Santa Fe is kind of the center of the thunderstorm at this time, so there's going to be some really significant hail falling there. Not necessarily in size, but accumulation, as we've talked about. It kind of builds up quickly. Even pea-size hail is built up 1 to 3 inches across areas just to the west of Santa Fe. So that'll be happening over Inglewood, kind of heading towards Greenwood Village.
Yep.
Also
I'll give you a little
Littleton
drawing here while
Ranch.
you're talking, Matt, so we'll just kind of show the areas.
So these areas have that pea-size hail. A lot of folks are sending in video and pictures to us on Twitter showing that it's built up, you know, an inch or a couple of inches very quickly. And that hail, just because the thunderstorm is not moving very quickly, is obviously what's allowing it to build up. Kind of unusual to see a thunderstorm moving only about 8 to 10 miles an hour at this time of night. But there's frequent lightning. We're watching the webcams from across the metro area. You see lightning about every 3-5 seconds. So very
I'll go back to that shot here, our live camera. This is again downtown, and this is the view from our camera that is at Civic Center Plaza. And I can move it around a little bit here. Let's see. Look a little farther to the. This is taking a little more to looking just to the southwest now. So we're looking now down toward Littleton, Ken Carroll. Very heavy rains coming in from the south. We'll swing it back over a little bit, back toward the state capitol. Boy, look at that lightning display. That is really something this late at night. Get this a lot in the Midwest and the East, but it's not very common to see it this late at night in Colorado. Normally our storms are long gone by this time.
Yeah, that's right. Normally we're far quieter. That thunderstorm down in Douglas County that just sat there certainly kind of created its own environment.
Absolutely. That's the camera at Coors Field, so just kind of a dark shot right now. This is our camera on the top of our building, and it's always with lightning, you're never quite sure what you're going to see. That's downtown, and that is the view down at Castle Rock. I'll see if I can find a better camera shot from that one. And let's see. Again, this is 6th and Federal. A lot of splashback, still a lot of heavy rain coming down. And I guess we'll be with it for a while. By the way, here's State View. And the heaviest is right on top of Denver. Go ahead and take it a little bit more, Matt. I'll work on that, finding another camera view.
There's a couple of folks that are even out in Aurora, which is not heavily impacted right now, but aren't sleeping because of the lightning and the thunder around. Obviously, a big problem across the South Metro and the center part of Denver here this evening. If you're kind of waiting for some of that hail to start to arrive or the heavier rainfall, the thunderstorm is hardly moving. barely between 5 to 10 miles an hour occasionally. So it's going to be pushing towards Sullivan by about 12:47, Greenwood Village by about 12:49, South Glen at 12:50, and then eventually, if it can hold together that long, which of course we're kind of hoping it doesn't, but moving towards Lone Tree by closer to 1:30. But certainly sections of Highlands Ranch, the west side of Highlands Ranch is impacted now. East Highlands Ranch within the next 15 minutes. Littleton and Inglewood obviously getting impacted now. You're kind of wondering, when will the hail stop? Well, you got to give it plenty of time, because you got about another 15, 20 minutes before the thunderstorm will weaken to the point where a lot of the hail will start to give up on you. I'll broaden this view and we'll just pull the radar back out a little bit. You can still see some of the hail out closer to, or I shouldn't say hail, but some of the thunderstorm out closer to Aurora, kind of extending out towards DIA. A broader view, if you're down at Castle Rock, kind of quieting down here this evening. Castle Rock is much quieter. They had 3 to 5 inches of rainfall from Castle Rock to Parker, led to the flooding and a lot of hail damage, sadly. A lot of roof damage, car damage down to the south and the southeast portion of the metro area. Not really a tornadic day. We had a couple of those land spouts out near DIA and a couple of reported funnels and tornadoes out closer to Kiowa, and luckily that did not really pan out to produce any damage for us. But the hail is certainly being pesky and staying with us here tonight. As let me just recenter the view over the Denver metro area. Boulder's really very quiet. Evergreen and Golden getting quieter. Morrison, you'll be quiet. Just a little bit of light rain may continue, but Westminster, you're kind of on the northern edge of it. So Westminster south through Denver, Inglewood, Littleton, Foxfield, Parker, still under the gun of the thunderstorm for really the next hour at least, because the storm is not giving up.
Check this one out, Matt. This is a shot from our camera that is at Cherry Hills Community Church in Highlands Ranch. It kind of speaks for itself right there. Wow. Look at that. We're just going to let that go for a bit here. This is amazing. I'll scroll it back and forth. Now, what you see in the right corner here, that's Valor Christian High School right there. That's their steeple. And look at the lightning with this thing. This is just crazy. I'll spin it a little bit back to the west as well. So now we're looking north. Downtown Denver is kind of right where the lights are. You can see where the little cursor I have there is. This is just amazing.
Let's see, that's 384 lightning strikes in the last 30 minutes.
Wow.
Over, well, pretty much just the metro area. So
that's the light show. I'm going to kind of toggle back and forth between this view and the radar. You can sure see what's going on there. Yeah. Wow.
So basically that's about 7 lightning strikes every minute hitting the Denver metro area somewhere. And clearly from that Highlands Ranch camera you can see it.
That is just constant.
And from that vantage point, that's looking somewhat northwest.
Yep.
And that's the thunderstorm, so you're kind of looking at the heavy rain falling over Santa Fe. That's actually drifting back towards Highlands Ranch, which had some really doozy hail about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, but more is coming back towards Highlands Ranch right now.
Tell you what, Matt, at this rate, we're going to see Dale Cedars.
I know. She's probably, the alarm's going off right about now.
So that's the worst of it right there. And again, you're wondering why we're seeing so much lightning. Look at that. That's the same spot. That's radar right there over Highlands Ranch. Right in the middle of the screen there is about where Cherry Hills Community Church is. And then, boom, look at that.
Just got an email from Robert Austin. He lives down in southwest Denver, kind of in the Littleton area. He's had, let's see, rain since midnight, so just the last 45 minutes, he's had over a ½ inch of rainfall. Indicates some minor street flooding as well. So certainly a lot of rain is coming down with this hail.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. Again, what you're looking there from Cherry Hills Community Church, Valor Christian is the steeple that you see illuminated by the lightning every now and again. Downtown Denver, about right where my cursor is, right about there. We'll try and zoom it in a little bit and show you what it looks like a little closer in. Those are some of the lights of the downtown area off into the distance.
Just got a text from a friend of mine, Cindy McClure. She lives down in Highlands Ranch. Torrential downpours, and she's holding kind of pea-sized, maybe marble-sized hailstones. So, again, Highlands Ranch had a good hail about 2 hours ago. It got quiet. Well, this is pretty much the same thunderstorm. That's just drifting back over the top of you again. Kind of
take this banner off and switch the camera around. We understand that the CDOT camera's got some pretty good stuff. That's Santa Fe and Mineral. Look at the rain. Oh, my gosh. Look at the rain coming down there. Look at that.
There's a good splash.
Yeah, a lot of splash back there indeed. Very dangerous. Do not drive through flooded areas because your car doesn't float like a boat. It floats engine down. And if you don't know how deep the water is, you can very quickly get into a big problem. So don't do as that guy just went racing through there if you're in an area where you do not know how heavy the precipitation has made the depth of the water.
And again, that's Santa Fe and Mineral. Lots of folks are commenting right now that they're waking up elsewhere, like Cherry Creek and Glendale, waking up just because of the lightning strikes, the thunder that's occurring. And that is drifting towards, well, it's over the top of Glendale right now, but kind of moving off to the east.
We have a caller online from Green Mountain. Trevor, are you with us?
I'm here, Mike.
Please give us a little bit of detail about what you're seeing in your area.
Well, it has definitely gotten a little bit better, but initially, actually I was asleep, and my dog woke me up barking, and the tornado sirens were just absolutely wailing, and the rain was just absolutely horrific, and then that followed by about pea-sized hail, and then that let up a little bit, and then it turned into golf ball-sized hail.
Golf ball size? How long did that last?
Absolutely. That was very brief. It was brief. But the heavy, heavy rain was beyond comprehension. In the alleyways and the streets, they just turned literally into rivers. It was stunning to watch and to hear the...
Conditions are improving where you are now?
Definitely improving. The light show is still tremendous. There's no question about that. I'm originally from Wisconsin, so I'm kind of used to the constant lightning situation. But yeah, this is over the top.
Pretty amazing storm system. And in Wisconsin, you're used to getting those late at night. As I'm being a Wisconsin native, I'm also very familiar with that. But boy, you sure don't see this kind of activity in Colorado.
I agree, especially at this late hour, and the tornado sirens going off was extremely alarming. Yeah,
a lot of people were pretty scared about that. We'll tell you now, the warnings have all been lifted for tornadoes. That is not the case in terms of severe thunderstorm, and we'll put those warnings back on here. We'll just take the echoes off here for a second. Thank you, Trevor. We appreciate your call from over the Green Mountain area. So here's the latest radar, and as far as the warnings, we have two areas. The yellow is severe thunderstorm warning, and that continues until 1, is it 1 o'clock or 1:15 now, Matt?
Oh, let's see. We've got this until 1 a.m.
1 a.m. And the flash flood is until 1:45.
Yeah, we have the flooding now also.
Okay.
And there is reports, quite a few right now, coming out of Inglewood. Let's see, Sheridan, first off, through Inglewood, of piles of hail stacking up in the roadways, certainly causing the street flooding and the ponding of the water, so certainly some difficult travel out there.
Yeah, we'll go through a couple of our cameras. Again, this is live from downtown. This is our camera that's right by the state capitol. And you can see that the lightning's still lighting up the sky quite frequently. And perhaps even more so, this is our camera that is down at Highlands Ranch at Cherry Hills Community Church. And it is just amazing down there. This is almost constant cloud-to-ground lightning, continuing just cannon fire is what Ann Trujillo said it sounded like down at her house in Bomar as the storm is moving through. We're looking north. Corner of your screen illuminated is the Valor Christian High School building right there. You see the little steeple. And looking to the west now, we'll scroll back a little bit to the west, and it is really flashing. That is something else. So we'll just kind of stay right here, folks, because obviously if you're watching, you're not sleeping, and Matt and I aren't sleeping anytime soon either with this storm going on. So we'll just keep it right here. We'll talk as best we can. We'll show you the radar as often as possible. We have crews that are preparing for the morning show to keep you up to date on everything. And we have been talking about this new Storm Shield app. If you've just joined us,
speaking of which, just had a call, Bowles and Federal, golf ball size hail there at Bowles
right now.
And Federal. Yes.
Okay. Wow. Boy, did I ever see a flash just go by on our live shot there.
And kind of a couple of folks are wondering why the storms just aren't moving out of here. none of the storms have really moved that much today. They develop and they stay in place. We're kind of waiting for the big center of the storm system to actually move through late tomorrow into Friday morning, and with that we'll cool off and tomorrow's storms will move around quite a bit more. But these ones are building up far enough away where there's just not the wind to push them out of the way.
Right. And as the climate continues to warm, one of the things you can call it global warming or global weirding. We get strange weather effects, and one of the things will be that we're going to have more unusual and more intense storm systems, and we're certainly seeing that right now. This is a highly unusual event to have storms lasting this long, this intense in the Denver metro area. Typically, our storms would be long gone into Kansas by this time at night. I know Matt has worked in the Kansas market and spent many a night until 3 or 4 in the morning, but for us, normally they leave and they're gone into the Kansas area by midnight, and things have quieted down in Denver, but it certainly is not the case this time.
Yeah, you'd hand them off to me.
That's right.
About 50 miles an hour. But
exactly.
These ones are just going to kind of hang out, and honestly, I'll actually pop up the radar again and we'll zoom it out, because I was just looking through this. Notice how the rest of the state has gotten much quieter. Except for the one sitting right over Denver. And it's still far from trying to finish. This is just going to sit on top of the city, producing the lightning. The lightning track has actually improved a lot. Lightning is now up to about 400 strikes of the last half hour. So we're looking at 7 to 8 to 9 lightning strikes per minute across the Denver area. And obviously you're waking up and hearing that thunder and seeing the lightning. The rain is actually trying to push away from Lakewood through the rest of Littleton and Inglewood, and as it does so, it's going to drift right back over Highlands Ranch with pea to quarter-size hail, possibility of golf ball size hail. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but it is possible. As it pushes in this direction, you can expect the heavier rainfall and some of that hail to arrive. Lavier's at 1 a.m., Lone Tree by 1:15, Aurora, if the storm holds together.
The national
lightning is continuing. Here's a live shot from downtown over the state capitol, and where the thunderstorm is really hitting hard. This is our camera that is down in Highlands Ranch at Cherry Creek Community Church, and look at that precip coming down.
Wow.
I'm going to scroll it a little bit over, and we're looking over toward Valor Christian High School right there, and I'm going to zoom in on this heavy rain that's hitting. Look at that stuff coming down. That is just nuts, the way it's dumping heavy rain down there in Highlands Ranch at the present time. And looking back at the radar picture, that's not going to change anytime soon, Matt.
No, it's certainly not. The only kind of quasi-storm that I remember is one that dumped a lot of this pea-sized hail over certain areas. This would have been mid-90s, and it destroyed roofs because the storm didn't move. It just piled up 6, 8, 12 inches of hail. And that was a greenhouse, and I think that was out kind of by what was then Martin Marietta and south of there.
Yeah.
So it's happened, but hardly ever. And that
was not a nighttime storm, was it?
No, that would be, a late afternoon kind of typical time.
The way this storm looks now, it kind of reminds me more of what the 7-11 hailstorm looked like, a supercell that just parked right on top of Denver back in 1990, and of course just pummeled so much the Front Range. But that was at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. Another text from Cindy, who's down in Highlands Ranch, calling it a real hailstorm down there, and certainly is. A lot of pea-sized hail in that section. The largest report we've had is golf ball size hailstones, but they were not necessarily all of them that size, just a couple, and that was at Bowles and Federal, and that was a while ago. So mostly pea-sized hail, but you can see the thunderstorm is holding on. Yeah,
it sure is. It's just...
Although it is starting to pick up speed, it looks like. New thunderstorm warning is for... Well, still Douglas County, Arapahoe County, and Denver County until 1:45.
All right, I'm going to put some streets on here while you're talking, Matt. So,
$50 size hail which is possible. We talked about that. Mostly the accumulating pea size is going to be the biggest impact. Damaging winds of up to 60 miles per hour. And this is from Cherry Hills to near Laviers, and it's moving east at 10 miles an hour. So it's actually starting to move a little bit quicker than it has over the last 2 hours.
Yeah. I tell you, sometimes late at night trying to get the mouse. Okay. Oh. Yeah, you know, with the lightning, we just took a hit, Matt, on our main weather computer.
Oh.
So, fortunately, we have backup, and we're running right now while we reboot the main weather computer system. We'll be running just straight radar.
Yeah, Matt Pastor, you can take Weather 2.
If you want to take that there, but we'll continue to show what we have here, and you can see around County Line, Arapahoe Road, Greenwood Village. That's where this thing is just rocking and rolling, and will continue to do so for a while. Daniels Park Road. Loop it here a little bit and just show you what the storm's looking like as it's moving. Now starting to come back in.
Bellevue and Monaco is actually seeing some pea to dime-sized hail, so it's starting to slide over I-25.
Okay. Yeah, look at that coming through now. That is just... I'm looking at our camera that is down Highlands Ranch, which we'll bring back up here shortly as soon as we get the radar rebooted. We took a lightning hit downtown. Fortunately, we do have backup here. But what I'm seeing in Highlands Ranch is just, it is pretty epic as far as what we're getting as far as heavy precipitation down there. So it won't take too long for it to come back. Look at that camera shot, Matt, the one that's at Cherry Hills Community Church. It is a...
You're going to probably pick up a half inch in 20 minutes.
You worked in Orlando. You're used to seeing powerful downpours and lightning. That is every bit like you'd see in the southern states.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
If you take the hail out of it, this is a good southern thunderstorm. They really don't move very quickly at all. Of course, they don't have hail down in the south, but it is a good slow mover. And you see it is drifting towards I-25, kind of moving away from Lakewood and Littleton. And just an hour and a half ago, we had the tornado warning for the Lakewood area, but that's ended.
Matt Pastor up in the control room, if you would go back to Weather 1 here. We do have it back up. I believe you'll be able to put that on the air. There we go. Now, that is the view from Highlands Ranch. I'm going to put the super back up there. And we do have a caller calling in now. Can you tell me again, identify your name? Annie from Bellevue and Federal. So you're right in the heart of all this. Annie, tell us what you've got going on.
Well, right now we just have really heavy rain. We had about 15, 20 minutes of just severe hail. I called in and let you guys hear it. I don't know if you still have a copy of that or not, but it was just deafening.
How big was the hail, Annie?
Yeah, well, originally it was probably pea size to dime size, some of it bigger. Of course, it's melting now, but I've got about an inch maybe on my deck and out and back. I'm sure glad I didn't plant a garden this year.
Oh, I bet that's true. I bet that's very true. Is it improved now at your location then?
Yes, it's starting to die down. I was watching your radar, and we're just starting to get, I think, to kind of the yellow portion. So I think the major part of it has gone through. I heard the sirens. That's what woke me up. I woke up when the severe rain was going on a little earlier, and then I'd fallen back to sleep, and I heard those sirens, and I noticed my husband. I said, "There's those tornado sirens. We better get up."
Well, I'm glad that you were able to call in and that everything is okay. But it's a scary night. It certainly is a scary night for a lot of kids and adults aren't used to this kind of late night stuff. So Annie, rest well as the storms move out of your area. Matt, this thing's starting to pick up some speed. It's going to obviously hit a lot of the southeastern part of the metro, but at least it's starting to move.
I think it kind of helps. It's slowly been pushed away from the mountains, so the wind coming down the range can help kind of push it on out of here.
Yeah.
A lot of folks are still getting those hail reports down to the south in Highlands Ranch, through Littleton to Greenwood Village and Inglewood.
We have John now calling from Highlands Ranch. We'll put the shot from Highlands Ranch back up here. This is what it's doing right now from our camera down in Highlands Ranch. John, where are you in the ranch, and what are you seeing?
Pretty much University in 470, and I think, at least as of right now, the worst just possibly ended. We have about 3 inches of hail.
And the largest of the hail, how big would you say?
About marbled a quarter.
Okay, that's some pretty good stuff there.
Most of them are about pea size, though.
Do you have, it's kind of dangerous to be outside, but do you know if you had much damage?
I honestly cannot tell. I would assume there'd be a lot of leaves down, some tree damage, some plant damage. But we just had one of the worst downpours I've ever seen. As somebody who's traveled the Midwest, they bring up Texas gully washers a lot. That's probably the closest thing I could describe. I couldn't see my neighbor across the street's house.
Crazy. Yeah, we're looking at our church, and the lightning and the heavy rain is just, I wouldn't say biblical, but it's really coming down.
As somebody who grew up in the Kansas City area, this is not something I've seen in a very long time, and this would probably be one of the top 5 storms I've ever seen.
Wow. That is saying an awful lot. Well, it's very unusual, as Matt Makins and I have said, to have tornado warnings late into the night along the Front Range, and certainly what we're seeing here. Now, I'm looking down at the parking lot here at Cherry Hills Community Church, and that looks a lot like a bunch of hail piled up there, doesn't it, Matt?
It certainly does. Looks like more of that pea to marble size is starting to build up down there.
Okay. Viewers, we certainly appreciate your calls. If you can contact us safely, and if you have any pictures that you can share with us, send us a tweet. We sure appreciate that. But the main thing is, do not put yourself in harm's way on a severe storm like this. It's certainly not worth getting hit by lightning or getting plonked on the head by a large hailstone when we have a storm like this coming through the area.
I'm going to open up a new radar show that has the hail in it.
Okay. Is that on Weather 2?
No, it's going into the radar. So
okay. All right. We're going to show you the Matt is loading up a new radar view here to talk a little bit more about the hail. While he's getting that ready, we'll just take a look here from our downtown camera. This is the view right over the Capitol, and I'm going to give you a shot also from our CDOT camera here in just a second while Matt gets that view ready. And let me just click that one up here. See what we have. That is I-25 and C-470. So look at the lightning strikes off there in the distance. Man, it is really, it is quite a morning. Do you have that ready now, Matt?
It's still loading up right now.
Okay, well, I'll wait for just a bit and give you a couple different shots. I'm going to show you the statewide view on the radar while we're taking a look at this, and give you an idea of what this thing has done just during the last 12 hours. So this is a loop. It'll take it just a second to load up. And all of a sudden, the storms just developed right over the metro, and they do not want to leave. We have had by far the worst of it anywhere in the state. Look at that from this afternoon with sunshine, and then it develops, and it's just sitting right on top of Denver. Okay, Matt's ready now with the new view, so I'm going to let you tell the audience what you're seeing, and we'll give them a little radar lesson.
We're just taking a look at the traditional mode of the radar, and we can actually strip away all the light rain and just look at the heavier rainfall. And you can see it lining up along 225 and I-25 down through Highlands Ranch and Leviers. And you can even take the radar and say, okay, well, just show me where the hail is. And that is this area right in here. So you would have more like pea-size hail in the green areas, so less than significant there. But from 225, where it hits I-25, close to Greenwood Village, sliding down to the south, that'd be over some of Cherry Hills, some of Centennial, into Highlands Ranch. Those darker colors, like right over Highlands Ranch right now, that darker red, that would be hail up to the size of golf balls, potentially. But we have seen a couple of reports of some of the hailstones that large, but most of Highlands Ranch from folks that have sent me texts or even Facebook messages, tweets, have not had hail that big, but up to the size of quarters. So we can strip down the radar and just look at hail itself, and that's what this view is showing. In fact, let me just pull that back a little bit more. And we can actually do a storm track on it to show you where the hail is moving to. It's moving about 10 miles an hour. Yep. It says no cities are in the path because really is going to be right along I-25. So Lone Tree would be included, Sky Ridge Medical Center, up towards IKEA and Park Meadows. Those areas will have the hail over the next about half hour, and then eventually getting to Parker. Hopefully the storm doesn't quite last that long. But
Matt, come on over and join me here in front of the key wall just for a second, because I'm watching on the screens some of the other stations going on, and the key thing is that we're live now. And if you're watching, flipping the dial around, you're watching a taped replay of storms from hours ago on some of the other stations. So we've kept you hear, up to date with all the information. We'll be here as long as it takes. So if you're spinning the dial, you're not seeing current information on what you'd be watching from other stations because they've long since gone home. But we'll stay here as long as we need to into the morning hours to make sure that you guys know what's happening. So we'll get back, we'll man the radar a little bit more. But I just wanted to make sure people realize that if spinning the dial around, you're seeing storm scenes from other stations, that's not live. That's hours old.
That's true. Speaking of live, there's the live radar, and I can bring back, get rid of the hail and bring back where it's also raining too. And obviously still active out there. The thunderstorm was over Inglewood and Littleton an hour and a half ago and it's barely moved. On the north side, out closer to Commerce City and Montbello, you're going to have some small hail, certainly a lot of lightning and thunder to wake you up. But from Montbello south along 225 through sections of Aurora, that's where the heaviest activity is now. Glendale, still pretty active, but you'll start to quiet down as that shifts. You can see the live radar sweep go through there, and that's brand new radar data. So it's now over the top of 225 and drifting down to the south close to Cherry Creek Reservoir. That darker red area, that would be pretty much over the reservoir out towards Greenwood Village and sections of Centennial. That's where some of that larger hail could be. That would be a quarter size and a piling up of the pea-size hailstones. And as we go down to the south, along I-25, as it goes past like Dry Creek, Orchard, Arapahoe, down towards County Line, you can still see some heavy activity there. And it was 2 hours ago that we had nearly stop-and-go traffic at County Line and I-25 because of the hail just piling up there. Well, another hailstorm is about to pass back.
It's coming right through there again. I'm going to click through a couple of live cameras. Matt, Pastor, up in the control room. Do we have another caller? Okay, look at this shot from I-25 at Orchard. Now, Matt Makins, you just talked about the heavy rain down there, and we'll flip back and show the radar view again here.
I'll just zoom right into there.
And if you can, throw a few streets on there. And while that's on, we're just going to show you this is what it looks like in real time. And this is what it looks like on radar. And that is crazy heavy rain.
That would be that darkest area of red. But it doesn't look like, I guess some of the grassy areas does show like some little bit of hail on there.
Now this shot is Highlands Ranch, Cherry Hills Community Church. Showed you some of the hail on the ground there, and this is a live shot with the lightning still lighting it up pretty well. And boy, when the lightning strikes and flashes, you can really see some of the hail that's accumulated. Look at that right down there in the parking lot of the church. Zoom it in a little bit closer. And I'll just scroll it down just a bit. And that's a couple of inches of hail. Boy, that's so tough. It's not easy being green in Colorado. Boy, a lot of gardens are going to just really be beat up. Here's a shot downtown. We'll start to see a little bit more of the lightning off into the distance now. And it doesn't seem quite as bad in the downtown area now. And as you can tell why, I'll let you scroll the radar around a little bit. It's lightened up a lot in Denver, city of Denver, but down to the south it is going to get pretty wicked here shortly as it heads on into Centennial and Foxfield. Did you guys plant a garden this year?
Yeah, just a Sunday, actually.
Okay, very good. Well,
convenient timing.
We're not too far from neighbors. You're in Parker, and I'm over just down by Grandview High School.
So we apologize for jinxing everybody else's gardens.
Apologize to both our wives because the gardens are about to get hammered.
Yes, but yeah, the storm is moving off to the east a bit more quickly now. Let me do a new little storm tracker here.
So the storm tracker, what we're doing here, Matt's taking it out at the speed of the storm, and we can take the kind of the leading edge of the storm here and show where that activity is going. So
let me see if I can.
Foxfield's going to be getting hammered here in about the next 13, 14 minutes.
So there's a couple of neighborhoods too.
Yeah, there you go. Stonegate's going to get it pretty good.
Parker, that's Lincoln and Jordan Road is Stonegate, and then off into older sections of Parker, probably around 132.
So it was earlier, about an hour ago, we had the tornado warning over here in Littleton, and so that same storm kind of moved up from the south and then pushed over, and now it's a whole line of storms. You can see it coming through, moving right through the area and continue to move up toward the north and east. And this thing finally is getting rolling, so I would guess that probably by about 2 o'clock, we're going to be out right along E470. And then it's going to be heading out farther to the east, but that means it's going to be a long night for a lot of the farmers and ranchers farther to the east of us once we get out of the main metropolitan area. I'm going to go back over. We'll click through a few more of our live cameras here. And CDOT, I'm understanding in my ear, is looking particularly good. So let me click that one up and show you what's happening there. So this is the view from I-25 and Yosemite. Look, the cars are pulling over. It is coming down so hard that they're just pulling off to the side. And it looks like the one gentleman is probably getting underneath that bridge right there. I think that's where Union goes over. And just to get out of the heavy rain and the hail.
Wow.
Look at a lot of those cars pulling over now. Visibility is just awful, and
I remember at one point State Patrol really disliked that. Some of the big hailstorms we used to have, which were brief. I remember a lot of news stories, this would be early to mid-90s, that they would strongly urge you not to do that, or they would ticket you.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty. You saw cars having to swerve around them. The visibility is low. Plus, if you happen to do it like where we used to have the old Lake Logan on I-25, you can get yourself in a pretty bad spot for localized street flooding. There's Highlands Ranch and the hail that we're seeing there. Again, our shot downtown. We'll just let this one play for a little bit, the downtown shot. I may scroll it around just a little and show you some different vantage points here. But the lightning is still really lighting up the sky. I'll give a little higher shot here if I can adjust the camera just a little bit. Let's see. Hard to see my cursor in the darkness. Let's see now. Nope, now we're getting a little too high. Bear with us, folks. It is live TV. I'll get on to another shot while we're doing that. Oh, so we lost CDOT there. I'll go back to radar for you, Matt.
We've had quite a bit of new hail reports coming in from Lone Tree. So, Cole, thank you for tweeting about your hail now arriving in Lone Tree. So, West Highlands Ranch finally quieting down. But if you're along I-25, Sky Ridge Medical Center, closer to the mall, you're starting to get that hail. But it's not going to last too long, so it probably won't build up too much. But it's going to cross over I-25, head down kind of Ridgegate, Lincoln, off into Parker. So it's going to hit all those neighborhoods, Bradbury Ranch, Stroll Ranch, Clark Farms, Stonegate, along Jordan Road, and then eventually kind of...
All right, Matt, we have Steve Cowell, who's our aviation expert, and he is down along I-25, south part of the metro area. Steve, how are you tonight? Tell us what you have.
Well, right now I've got pea-sized hail that is pretty much covering about 3/4 of the ground. A lot of lightning. The lightning really, as I watch the cells gather up and begin to travel to the east, the storm, of course, shifted seemingly from a north direction, and it just gathered back up and started moving across to the east, and seemed like the heart of the cell has already passed. We've had, of course, very, very heavy rain, near continuous lightning, just a spectacular lightning show, something that I haven't seen since I was flying in the Midwest and the South. But as I was saying, very, very heavy rain, pea-sized to almost marble-sized hail seems to be covering about half of the ground at this point.
You've been around here for a while, an aviation expert. This perspective on a storm like this in terms of a historical event?
It really is. I mean, I've lived in Denver since 1960, and you know, it's just very rare to see anything like this, especially this time of night. And of course, you know, from my perspective and flying around these things, it's really interesting to be really underneath it, and it's just a spectacular lightning show.
It's been amazing, and Matt and I have been commenting about just how long this has gone on. It's like a nightmare that doesn't end.
Well, that's what's the interesting thing about this whole thing is the length of time that these storms seem to be just lingering, and, you know, the dynamics of the atmosphere don't seem to want to have these cells just, you know, drift off to the east as we usually see them do here in Colorado. And as you know, we get the characteristic thunderstorms developing every day. We see them in the northeast down towards the panhandle of Nebraska, up north towards Cheyenne, and of course the other developmental areas down southeast towards the La Junta Lamar area. But to have them linger here over the Denver metropolitan area like this is really unusual.
Well, it is, and we've talked about as our climate warms, weird things will start to happen, and this is certainly a very unusual event. Perhaps, certainly things like this can happen, rogue storms, but as conditions get warmer, there's more energy in the atmosphere, you're going to see more of these type of storm situations. We were talking with a viewer last night, said, we're going to have a cold front come through on Sunday and drop the temperature to 78. I mean, that's the normal high temperature. What's going on? And we have been averaging a good 8 to 10 degrees warmer than normal so far for the month of June. And the result tonight is certainly the very heavy thunderstorms that we see over the Denver area. And this line is going to linger for a while and head out farther east onto the plains. Appreciate it very much, Steve, for your call in, and stay safe out there.
You bet. Thanks a lot. Good speaking with you.
Okay, you bet. Matt, tell us about the cell out near Indian Hills.
It looks like a lot of new activity starting to bubble up, not only there, but out by Front Range Airport. So yeah, out to the west, just outside of Conifer, there's another little blip showing up. This is going to be along 285 as it snakes between Tinytown to Indian Hills to Morrison. This is weak right now, no indication of hail, but that certainly could develop as it pushes closer to southwestern Denver.
It is on the tail end of this whole thing, though, and that can you put the loop back on over the last 2 hours? Can we see that on this particular this sweep? Let's just watch how these have gone through. So there's the main area that's really been lighting it up, and now is doing that into Aurora and down into Centennial. And then we'll watch this little band back here that's starting to show a bit more life. Now, it's nothing that's extreme yet, but everything tonight has been pretty weird, so we'll hope that this thing just kind of behaves itself and dies down in a rain-cooled atmosphere as it moves back into the city. But we have quite the nice line here of strong to severe thunderstorms moving through the area. Warnings, we still have flash flood and a couple of severe thunderstorm, if I'm not mistaken. There we go.
So, yeah, we have severe thunderstorm. This is for sections of Arapahoe, sections of Denver and Douglas counties.
That's the severe thunderstorm. That's till 2?
That's until 1:45.
1:45, okay.
But if you, honestly, they're going to start to trim that out.
Yeah,
and probably expire it early because you can see the thunderstorm
they'll pull that out, but probably extend back farther to the north up into the Foxfield, Centennial area over toward Cherry Creek Reservoir. And then the green, that's the flash flood from the earlier very heavy precipitation we